Manisha Panchakam, fourth verse. Ya tiryang nara devata bi ahamityantah sfuta grihyate yad bhasa hridayaksha deha vishaya bhanti swato chetanaha tam bhasyai pihitarka mandala nibham spurtim sada bhavayan yogi nirvrita manaso hi guru rityesha manisha mama. So here Shankaracharya says, Ya tiryang, that consciousness, which chetana, that which is all pervading by tiryam, animals, nara, human beings, devata, gods, devata bihi, aham iti antah sphuta grihyate, which is experienced sphuta, grihyate, experienced sphuta clearly, antah, within whom animals, human beings, and gods as aham, as I. That consciousness, yad bhasa hridaya aksha deha vishaya bhanti hi swatah, that consciousness which is reflected by mind, aksha, senses, and deha, body, and which are all by themselves achetana, which are all without consciousness. They are all unconscious, insentient. But by this consciousness, they are all reflected. So it is like there is something without consciousness, and this conscious, because of the pure consciousness, all these appear to be as though they are conscious, as though they are conscious. So suppose there is you see on a floor, suddenly one paper is moving. How can a paper move? So that means there is a mouse below the paper. A mouse is moving. Have you seen like this? No. So mouse is moving, so the paper is also moving. So all these insentient things appear to be sentient because of consciousness, body, mind, and sense organs. All of them appear to be conscious because of their association with consciousness. Tam bhasyaihi pikitarka mandala nibham spurtim sada bhavayan. And so this self which is conscious, it is concealed by the mind. It is concealed by the mind. Though mind is made conscious by the consciousness, but that consciousness is concealed by the mind. Just like a cloud. This you see Arka is sun. So the sun is illumining the cloud, but the cloud is covering the sun. Okay. Cloud is covering the sun, but cloud is illumined by what? It gets light by sun. Similarly, consciousness or Atman is giving consciousness or apparent consciousness to mind, but the mind is blocking Atman. Like that. So, similarly, the very mind, senses, and body which are being illumined by the Atman, the self, they themselves are hiding this Atman. Just like sun which is illumining the clouds is being hidden by those clouds. So a person who is spurtim sada bhavayan, a person who is yogi, a person who has connected to the ultimate reality, nirvrita manasaha, and whose mind is nirvrita, calm, means one whose mind is free from all desires, that person always spurtim sada bhavayan, always meditates on this self, on this conscious self, and that is Guru Rityesha Manisha Mama. And that person is my Guru, this is my Manisha. Guru Rityesha Mama Manisha. This is my Manisha, or this is my conviction. This is my conviction. So, now what is the problem here? Just like clouds cover sun and you see a silver lining around the clouds. So you know that there is something which is giving light behind it. Unless the clouds are removed or clouds go away, you cannot see that. Similarly, to understand this Atman, we have to remove this mind and sense organs. We have to remove the mind and sense organs. Unless we remove mind and sense organs or we get rid of them, we are unable to understand or experience the self-conscious Atman or ever-conscious Atman, self-effulgent, self-revealing, self-luminous Atman. So, that is the problem now. So, how to do that? There are many ways to do that. One way is, if you, for example, if there is something which is there in a place, suppose say here one python is there. Suppose you don't bother about that python, nothing will happen. You just come into this room, do your work and then go away. The python will be just staying there. The moment you bother about the python, then immediately what will happen? You will want to remove it because you are afraid of it. Python will not come and eat you like that. So python, you are afraid of python, so you want to remove that python. Then what will you do? You will go and try to poke it. The moment you poke it, now python is thinking that it is in danger, so it will try to attack you or do something. Though python is very lazy kind of creature. So, but still it will attack you. So then you have problems. Similarly, there is one very simple approach to go about it. What? Instead of struggling with your senses, you just ignore them. Instead of struggling with your senses, just ignore them. Don't think that you are the senses. Don't think about the senses and don't bother about what they are wanting or in which direction they are pulling you. Just ignore them. Like when you meditate, so many thoughts arise. So one person says, all people generally they say that so many thoughts have arisen, so I am unable to meditate because one thought pulls me this side, one thought in another direction, etc., etc. What is the best method? To just ignore thoughts. You just continue your meditation and ignore all thoughts. So what will happen? Thoughts will arise, but if you ignore them, then you can meditate properly. So the problem is, the moment you get on to one thought, then that thought will lead to another thought and it will go on in a cycle, and you will sit on the meditation seat for say 1 hour or more, but then you will get up and understand you have not meditated. Why? Because you went behind the thoughts. But if you just ignore those thoughts, then nothing will happen. So like that, if we ignore the sense organs, the body, the mind, we just don't give any importance to them, then nothing will happen. Even in public relation or human relations, we see that if somebody is constantly giving you trouble, if you just ignore, that person herself or himself gives up. Then that person sees, oh, I have not got anything. Because people who try to poke you, they want that you become irritated, they want that you become angry, etc. But if you simply ignore that person, then that person will, after some time, 4 or 5 attempts, that person also will go. Because you are not giving any importance to that person. You see? So, this is the thing. There is a story, did I tell you the story of a boil and a spider? No, I did not tell. This story I heard from one Swamiji, Swami Vishokanandaji, Partha Maharaj, who constructed our Swamiji's house and who is now in Odisha, Hatamuniguda. So it's an interesting story about this ignoring. So there were 2 friends. One is a boil, which we in Bengali say foda, boil, and another one is a spider. They were good friends. So once they met, and now you don't ask how a boil and spider can be friends. It's a story. So they met once and then they said, oh, how are you? So they said, both of them, yeah, I am nice. But that Foda said, you see, I am not keeping well. And then spider also said, you see, I am also not keeping well. So what happened? So the spider was in the house of a wealthy person, a Seth, a very wealthy businessman. And the spider used to go, and somewhere it used to start making its web, and immediately there are so many servants in this house. They will see one small web and they will come and clean. So the spider's life is in very bad shape because nothing can be done. And this person, this boil was on the body of a farmer, laborer. So that farmer doesn't bother. He gets up early in the morning and goes to the field, and the boil is there, and the boil is getting no attention. So it is going on like that. So they said, no, this is very bad. So what to do? They said, let us exchange places. Let us exchange places, then it will be okay. So the spider came to the farmer's hut, and in farmer's hut there are lizards, scorpions, maybe even snakes. So one spider he does not bother. So the spider's whole big cobweb was made, and so many insects are coming. Spider has a wonderful time. And when this boil went to that businessman's body, immediately there are so many doctors are coming, so much of ointment is being put, and then what you call fomentation is being given, etc., pillow, all these things. So the foda or the boil is also happy. So the moral of the story is, if you ignore anything, then that is what happens. So you see, that is why we should ignore the sense organs, mind and body. If we ignore, then automatically
For husbands.
Huh?
For husbands.
So he is telling from his own experience. So that's what, if we ignore the cloud, then automatically we will one time be aware of the sun behind it. Then towards the end, almost like the Falashruti, that means what will happen if one follows these. That is what is told in the 5th stanza by Shankaracharya. He says, Yat saukya ambudi lesha leshata ime shakradayo nirvritaha yat chitte nitaram prashanta kalane labdhva muni nirvritaha yasmin nitya sukhambudau galitadi brahmaivana brahmavit yaha kaschit sa surendra vandita pado noonam manisha mama. So, yat saukya ambudhi lesha leshata ime shakradayo nirvritaha. So, the self is how it is nitya sukha ambudau. That Brahman, the self which is Brahman, is nitya, eternal sukha ambudau, an eternal ocean of bliss. Eternal ocean of bliss. And there what happens? Such an ocean of bliss, of which a very minute lesha leshatah, minute fraction, infinitesimal fraction of that bliss, yat saukya ambudi, of that bliss, a very less fraction, means micro of micro, lesha leshatah, minutest of minutest, is sufficient to satisfy shakradayoho nirvritaha. So it is Shakra means Indra. Indra, to satisfy Indra, etc., this is sufficient. This minutest bliss of, so the idea is, Indra is always drinking Somarasa. We show all these things as though we have gone and brewed that Somarasa and given to him. Who knows? Anyway, Indra is drinking Somarasa and always going on entertainment channel. So nowadays, Indra, you don't need to go to heaven. You go to any house, you will see. After cooking and all is over, then they are crying. It's going on. Then 10 o'clock this, 11 o'clock this. And then they call people. I actually have seen, they're calling people and say, hey, what happened? Oh, yesterday, Chitra died. Why? Because she has a lover. Oh, acha. How did they know? She committed suicide. Then I am thinking something real somewhere happened. No, in Sony or in some channel has happened. Serials. So serials people are seeing and they are crying. Huh? Seriously.
Serious.
Seriously. And then they are crying, etc. So similarly, Indra is crying. So the idea here is, why should we bother about what Indra is satisfied with? Indra is satisfied with means what? All these pleasures which we get in this world, they are not even the minutest of minutest fraction of the bliss of Atman. So you will think, oh, I will go there, I will go this place, I will wander, I will move around, I will travel, etc. Then you will eat something, then you will drink something. All these enjoyments, sensory enjoyments, are not even the infinitesimal fraction of the bliss of Atman. So that is the idea, and that is what is being told, that gods like Indra, etc., are satisfied by a minute fraction of this bliss. That means whatever we do, it is all like that. It is all like that. Yat chitte nitaram prashanta kalane labdva muni nirvrita. And by meditating on this chitte, self, nitaram prashanta kalane, a person who is meditating on this, a person who becomes prashanta, calm, that person nirvrita, sage, muni, a muni experiences fulfillment, nirvritaha, labdhva muni nirvritaha. And yasmin nitya sukham budau galitadi, a person whose dhi, mind, has become galita, absorbed, or become one with this supreme bliss, that person brahmaiva na brahmavit. That person is not a knower of Brahman, but Brahman becomes Brahman. Does not become knower of Brahman. Why? Why? This you have heard so many times, but why?
Known means dual.
Huh?
Known, somebody knows something. So it's dual.
So if you say that somebody knows something, there is duality. And here there is no duality. It is Advaita, non-duality. And how will you know things? We generally know things using mind and sense organs. But here mind and sense organs do not exist. So that is why a person becomes Brahman. So you have heard this so many times. This is why they say Brahmaiva na Brahmavit. Means you become Brahmavit, Brahmaiva bhavati. Why? Because you have no mind. So you are Brahman. Actually, even before attaining knowledge, that person was Brahman. That person was always Brahman, but only understands now. That means mind has gone. Yah kaschit saha surendra vandito pado nunam manisha mama. So yah kaschit saha, such a person who has realized this truth, or who has become one with Brahman, whose mind has become absorbed or merged in Brahman, that person, yah kaschit saha, whoever that person may be. That means whether that person may be a Brahman, whether the person is a Chandala, or whether that person is an Indian or a non-Indian, whatever, whether that person is alien, whatever that person is, I consider that person to be my Guru, but Surendra Vandita Pado. It is my conviction that such a person's feet, Pado, has to be Vandita, worshipped by Surendra. Sura Indra means one who is the lord of gods. That means Indra. So Devendra. So Indra himself should worship his feet. That is what I think. This is my Manisha Mama. Noonam. Definitely. This is my definite conviction. This is my Manisha Mama. So here again we are told that people who try to find bliss using sense organs or body and mind, they are going in the wrong direction. Why? Because in body and mind and sense organs, you will not get the bliss. Or whatever bliss you will get a fraction of the bliss of Atman. So we have to try to get the bliss of Atman itself. And if you get a bliss like that, your mind is absorbed in that, then you become one with Brahman, then that person is supposed to be worshipped by even gods themselves. So what does that mean? That person becomes a Jivan Mukta. When your mind is merged in the ultimate bliss of Atman, in the supreme bliss of Atman, you become Jivan Mukta. You have nothing, you have be liberated in this very life itself. So you have nothing more to bother about because you have no bondage. So that is the Jivan Mukta. So if a person can live at least 24 hours like that, it will be nice. Is it not? 24 hours Jivan Mukta. So if somebody lives like that, then we can say Jivan Mukta.
Once and then forever.
Huh?
If you once, then it's forever.
No, but when you ask God, you should say once. Like Swamiji asked Sri Ramakrishna, I said, once you give me that experience. So like that you have to ask. That is trick, no? But God will not be tricked anyway. But that Jivan Mukta. So once you are Jivan Mukta, then you are always Mukta. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.